I first want to begin with the question of what is it like working with Disney?
Well, I've been with Disney almost 10 years now. So, and I just keep thanking my lucky stars that somehow I landed there. And it is a culture that complements, rewards, and encourages heartfelt creativity. And so it is something that the longer you're there and the more you do it, and the more you foster the creative process, and I'm speaking from the point of a producer, the more rewarding it is. So I don't know if I answered your question there, but that's pretty much my day to day is just you know something that I fully and truly enjoy and am grateful for.
And for me, I've been fortunate to work in different parts of Disney. I've done a Pixar short, and obviously this is a Disney animation short. And I've done Marvel, and I've done a theme park. I wrote the theme for Epcot at Disney World. So Disney in different aspects, it's been a part of my life for the last few years. But before that, I mean, the films that I grew up watching and that really affected me, and the scores that I loved growing up, the songs, it's just such a part of my life. So I'm incredibly grateful to be a very small part of the Disney world.
How was this project pitched to you?
Also, when we first met, I didn't really know what to expect, and of course now, having seen it in its completion, it's just a remarkable thing to think about what Zach envisioned without all of this, like how he actually knew what it was going to be like. So when I first met him, it was pitched. Can't remember the details actually now. Like we've talked so much ever since, I can't even remember that very, very first day. But it was maybe you can help me out, Brad. How did you guys
Yeah.
the initial one?
Pinar came in kind of as what we call a general. So it's just a meet and greet where we were starting to try to figure out who was going to work with us. And Pinar came in, and we meet in our story rooms. And the way our story rooms are set up, as we're beginning the process of creating the movie, depending upon what phase we're in, up on the walls of the story rooms are storyboards with, it's almost like vision boards where you have the characters, you have the ideas that they're just inspiration of everything. And we actually had initial designs for art and dot and all that up on the walls, but really nothing else. And then Zach had a pitch deck where he walked through, very similarly to, did you attend the press conference this morning?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So very similar to what we did this morning, but except his is like 25 minutes, with a lot more detail. But that's it. We didn't have any storyboards. We didn't even have the actual plot yet. But that's what we pitched Pinar and said, we'd love you to go on this journey from us from start to finish. And because of this whole chicken and egg needing to have the music for the choreography thing, we're just going to go on the journey with you and work together along the way. I hope I summed that up okay.
Yeah, that was actually great. Yeah.
Composing for animation versus live action. Is there a different structure to that? Is there a different level of difficulty?
Well, this particular animation was unique because, like we were saying, I got involved so early and everything was just kind of being sculpted as I was writing. So all happening at the same time. So that was really, really unique. When I did, for example, the Pixar short, which is called Pearl, that I came in at the end. So the film was already done. I knew the timeline. I knew what I was writing for, which is similar to, in live action, if I receive a scene, I know what I'm working with. But with this one, it was just really was unique because, a lot of times I didn't know in the beginning, especially like when, we had the cubes moving and everything, like you had to use a lot of imagination. And I knew that I was always going to be behind in terms of what I could envision, in terms of what the animation was going to look like. So I was always incredibly pleasantly surprised every time I received a new cut. I was like, oh my God, this is looking better and better each time. And that was really beautiful part of the process.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, but you started your career more or less in the behind the scenes, like visual effects type world. What made you want to jump over to producing?
That was always the goal. So when I was a kid, I started watching movies in a movie theater like everybody else. And then in high school, I became a projectionist, and I would just watch them over and over again and read the credits. But I was in Spokane, Washington, and I didn't know anybody who worked in the movies. So I just said, I'm going to make movies one day. I'm going to figure this out. Cut to, long time later, moving to LA. And I actually did development first. I did about 5 years. I worked in live action development for a company, for Jan de Bont's company, and then Robert Redford's company. And then I was in and out of the studios quite a bit. But yes, after The Legend of Bagger Vance, I transitioned over into visual effects because I didn't know how to do a budget for visual effects. And so I said to myself, I could budget the whole movie except visual effects. So I said to myself, I'm just gonna go get a job in visual effects for one show. That was the Chub Chubs. And then I ended up doing the voice for the Chub Chubs. And then I fell in love, and that won the Academy Award. And then I said, I guess I'm gonna stick with this for a while because I really dig it. Yeah. And that was just, it was planned, but not planned, because I always thought I was just learn how to do visual effects and then get right back to where I was going. But
yeah. Pinar, same question for you. Did you always know you wanted to be a composer?
Always.
Oh, it was always your thing, huh?
Yeah, I started conservatory when I was 5 years old in Istanbul. So I don't actually remember a time when I wasn't in music. I genuinely don't have a memory of like not being a musician, which I don't know if is a good thing or a bad thing. But yeah, it was always the plan.
Can you each talk a little bit about the process of working with Zachary and like basically what he brought to the table and what he asked of each of you as individuals?
For me, what was really wonderful about Zach was how he knew the overall mission, what he was envisioning, right? But then he gave me a lot of freedom to play in within that. But then he was also he has this really great way of like seeing the macro and the micro at the same time. So his notes were really helpful, and he did this emotional map for me when I first started writing, because I didn't even have storyboards to work with. So he gave me this graph that looked like a cardiogram, like lines going up and down with different emotions and things, which I had never seen before. And I hope I see it again, but it's such a unique way of working. It was really, really cool. But we had to start somewhere. That was the tricky thing, so to speak. So that was really, really helpful. Honestly, I love the way his brain works, and I have incredible admiration for him because of what he envisioned and what he made at the end. It's so incredibly special.
Brad, what's the production time on something like this?
We initially were going to do it in a year. And what we do is we try to tuck it in between the features so that it's part of the process where you're kind of figuring it out and then making it happen between the big cycles of the features. Because of COVID, this one got extended just by 2 weeks. And then we put a pause for a moment on scoring and sound effects while we waited to figure out what was going to happen with COVID. Because yeah, we were literally our last day of animation when we all got sent home. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. It was lovely talking to both of you. Appreciate all the information you shared with me today, and best of luck. I think it's safe to say we'll probably hear about this movie again around Oscar time for shorts.
Well, I can't tell you to do it, but I'd sure love you to bring it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
You're awesome.